All right, welcome to video 3, and this one is going to cover how to market your business. Another part of the fear factor may be in you just thinking, how do I even get my name out there? How do I even go out and get jobs? The good thing for you is that there are many platforms that have been developed for this specifically, and some that haven't been, but that are used for it, and they work just as good. So bear with me, because this is some serious nuggets I'm about to drop, and I suggest you get pen and paper and write some of these names down as we're going. As you start off looking at what you can afford, right? You may want to say, okay, let's go low-hanging fruit. I can just get my name out there for free, meaning I can go to the Facebooks of the world, the Instagrams of the world, those types of things, even Nextdoor. Those platforms, you can just post on local boards, local messages, that type of thing, where you can just simply say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I have this contracting business. I can do X, Y, and Z things, and just tell people you're out there. A lot of times people will also post that they need someone, and you just being on top of it and going in and responding to them and giving them your phone number, contact info will get people to start to communicate with you. But if you're willing to take the time, instead of watching television, instead of playing games or whatever it is that you do on your phones, go in, sow the time into finding different ways to make your business work, okay? Figure out what the verbiage is of what you can do and put it out there on Facebook. Put it out there on Craigslist. Let people know that you're there. Those are the easiest ways that you can do it for free. Now, are those going to turn into, bona fide leads that are going to work all the time? Maybe, maybe not. But in the world of marketing, anybody will tell you, if your name's not out there, nobody's finding you, right? So having your name out there in more than one spot is paramount. And I will tell you this, in my own life, because I'm on multiple platforms all the time, I've had people tell me that they not only saw my van with my logo on it, but then they saw me on 2 different platforms online, and that's what gave them and gave me the credibility and them the warm and fuzzy that, okay, this guy's legitimate because they saw me on multiple platforms, okay? That matters. Now, does it mean that you're not going to get any other jobs if they only seeing you on one? No, because I've had plenty of jobs the other way. But I'm just telling you, the more times you're out there, the more validity and credibility that it will give you in your business. So let's go to some of the platforms you can go to generate leads where you're paying for them, okay? The most prominent ones are going to be things like Angie's List, Home Advisor, and Thumbtack. And those are the ones where you're paying, typically it's by the week, and you're going to pay specifically an amount of money that's going to generate a lead or a touch point with a client who is looking for your service in your area. When you do that, and those leads, they can vary. I mean, with Thumbtack, it can be anywhere from $5 to $7 all the way up to almost $20. With Home Advisor, leads can be as much as $25 to $50 and even more depending on what the scope of the job is. And then with Angie's List, it's somewhere in that same ballpark. So what you have to say to yourself is, what can I do? What does the job entail? And what am I willing to spend to go out and try and, uncover some rocks to get people to start calling me or to get people to, for me to reach out to. And I will say this. For the most part, even though every platform has its own pitfalls, because really they're not there for you to find the perfect client every time. They're not. Just trust me when I say they are dot connectors, okay? They are simply ways for you to find people who need jobs. Those people that get a hold of you or that you come into contact with, they may not have a clue about what they're actually getting themselves into when hiring you, because they may just think, oh my gosh, I've got this shutter that fell off my house, but they have no idea what it's going to take to put the shutter back on, okay? Or they've got a gutter that fell, or they've got a post that's rotting, or a door that's out of alignment. They don't know. All they know is they have issues and they need somebody to come and fix them, but they don't really understand most of the game when it comes to, how do I find the right guy or the right woman? How do I know what's a fair price? a lot of times they don't have a clue what those things are. So there's a lot of education that goes on within those platforms when you're talking to people, because as you get more and more efficient with what you're doing, you realize that you don't want to kick tires with people who are simply there, and they're time suckers, let's call it. And it's not a knock on them or who they are as people, but you're going to realize quickly that some of these platforms, it's going to suck more time than what it's worth. So you get really good at being able to field and then fend off specific types of people and questions by repositioning yourself and asking the next follow-up question. Okay? And one of the biggest ones for me is getting an understanding of what a potential client is willing to pay for a specific job. So as you're getting these leads that are coming in, then you are able to say to yourself, okay, I already know. I've done this enough to know that, yeah, this one might not be the one for me. And being honest with that person. Now, did you pay for that lead? Yes. But you did get a phone number. And if you're nice to them, they're going to have your phone number, right? And so maybe that job didn't work out the best for you then. But I've had a lot of people that I've said no to that have come back and hired me to do a different job because it just worked out that the first touch point wasn't the best. But because I'm honest with them and I'm open about, the industry and what's going on, they're willing to say, hey, I appreciate that and thank you very much. So that leads me into the next part, okay? Once you've understood where to engage, how much money to spend, what's the most pragmatic for your life and for your skill set, then you go into when you start to engage with the clients, what does that look like on a broad spectrum, right? Because you're going to have people who are completely uneducated, and then you're going to have very educated people about exactly what they want. And how do you deal with the point A to point Z on the spectrum, right? It's only going to happen with time. You're not going to be able to do this day one. I've been doing this now for almost 3 years solid of just doing this work. Now, I knew how to do a lot prior to this, but I've honed my craft when it came to my skill set, right? But over the course of my life, and I'll be 50 next year, I've learned how to read and understand people. And I think that's the biggest, my biggest takeaway in what I do now and what I can sow into you here is you have to begin to understand how people's minds think and operate, okay? And immediately when they start talking to you, you can get a sense of where they're at. And what I mean by that is this. If they're very complimentary of your time, if they thank you so much for getting back with me, you've got somebody who values you, right? Pretty easy to understand that. On the flip side, if you have people that are, they use certain words when you're dealing with them, okay? They may use the word, it's just, or it's only, things that make it seem diminutive. I could do it myself, but I decided not to. My husband knows how to do it, but he's really busy. Those types of things. When people come at you with, it's kind of like, well, I know how to do it, but I'm just hiring you to do it because I really just don't want to do it. It can be true, but from what I've heard and felt and dealt with in my own life, most of the time, it's them trying to either make you feel less than or to try and beat you up because of cost or price. So they're trying to make the job not seem as big so that they're trying to keep whatever they think the cost is lower than, that. And some people, it's just this weird, almost sickness with them is that they're trying to almost beat you up because in their mind, they've won. It's like this weird, sick and twisted thing that they do where if they've got a better deal than anyone else, then they'll go brag about that. Like, hey, I got this done. I got it done for this price. And those types of people I want to run from because there's nothing worse in life than feeling like the job you just did wasn't appreciated and that you were not paid what you were worth to do the job. Because what ends up happening while you're doing that job is you're not doing that client or yourself any type of service. You're doing a disservice is what you're doing. And you're only going to end up disgruntled and unhappy at the end of it. And it's going to come out probably in your attitude, or you're going to have to be fake and act like it was okay. And then those people, stick with me here, you ready for this? If you do a job where you undervalued yourself and they got over on you and then they share your name and number with somebody else, guess what? That person's going to think that you should be able to come in and do the exact same thing for them that you did for the first one. And if you do that, then you've done it twice to yourself. And then where does it end, right? So it is better, and I'm telling you, hear this. It is better to tell people no and to get what you know your time and your value are worth than to do a job simply because somebody, guilted you into it, coerced you into it, whatever it was, or you think, I just got to have it, I got to do it, or whatever. Trust me, there comes points in time in your life where you just have to, draw the line and say, I can't. And sometimes your gut has to rule your brain. And you have to utilize the intuition that you have and make that a part of your business because it is a critical part of your business. And I'm telling you this because I've learned it the hard way. I did jobs in the beginning because I felt like I had to. They were time suckers. They were money suckers. And I got to the point where I said, I can't keep doing this to myself because it was causing me stress in my brain. It was causing me stress on my body because it was taking me longer to do jobs and I wasn't nearly as efficient. And on top of that, I wasn't getting paid as much. So just trust me when I say when you're engaging with clients, make sure that you understand how to read their nuances, understand how to read their body language, the things that they say, how they say them, because it all matters, okay? And then from there, when you engage with the right clients, you'll also then want to and begin to engage in referrals from those clients. Because think about it, if you enjoy working for client A, then you're going to probably enjoy working for client A's referral, right? And it's a great way to, when you get done with the job, say, hey, I see that you live in a subdivision. These houses are 15, 20 years old, whatever. They're all in need right now of some sort of repair. Would you mind giving me a name of your neighbor or somebody else that may need help? Here's my business card. Hand this card out. Tell people my number. Have them contact me. I'm open for all of that. Because a lot of people think that, they ask me the question, well, hey, can I give your name and number to somebody? And I'm like, absolutely. Especially if they're like you, even more so. You want to do business with like-minded people, and it works. Another thing that you need to be open for is when you're doing jobs at a specific client's house, especially if you're outside and people see you, is that you're going to have other people see you, come up to you, and engage with you because they're going to need things done. Trust me, it's going to happen. Obviously, it doesn't happen nearly as much if you're in the house because they don't see you. But I have actually had other people doing jobs inside. They will wait for me. You're trying to be inconspicuous, but they'll wait for me to walk back out to my van or my car or my truck, whatever, and they'll say, hey, before you leave, can you come over here? I'd like to talk to you about doing a job here or multiple jobs here. And I've gotten a lot of extra work just from being on site at a job that was in close enough proximity where people could see my my logo. They could take a picture of it, which has my phone number on it, which is another critical thing. And those are ways that you can, through very little energy, duplicate you. Okay, so thinking now is just little things. Again, we've talked about the lead generation, engaging with clients, and how to gain more referrals. But here are some smaller things, right? Do you have a website that can most adequately represent you? It doesn't even have to be bells and whistles. It can simply be, hey, this is who I am. Here's some pictures of before and afters of my work. Here's my contact information. Here's my email address. Here's how to share me with other people. That's all really a website is for you. You don't have to spend a bunch of time on it. It can almost be free. But it is definitely something that sets you apart from the other guy who may just be going down the road with, some white lettering on the side of his car, and that's it. Crazy thing about that is that those people are probably they're busy. Even those people are busy because there's so few people doing this type of work in most of the country. But if you can separate yourself from them and become more professional, then you will get even more jobs. Top of that, go out and get yourself a full color business card. One of the things that I did in the beginning is I wanted to personalize my business. My name is Andy. So I went with Handy Andy, and it stuck, and people love it. And so I created a cool logo, and I put my face in it. Okay, people are drawn to people. It's just how we're wired as humans. When people see my face on my vehicle, they're drawn to it. I'm smiling, I'm inviting. I've had women stop and say, can I take a picture of this so that I can save it so I can call you? Yes. And then I'll ask them the question, what made you stop and ask me if you could do that on top of, you wanting the work done? And they'll say, well, you're a pretty good looking guy. You're smiling. I just felt like, you're an honest guy just by the picture. And that matters to people because, one thing about this industry is that not a lot of people have a high level of, let's say, backstory with contractors. Most people have a horrific story with contractors because they've been done wrong by somebody who's either done a really bad job or they've done a bad job and taken money and not done a job. But there's always stories out there. So if you can come across as credible, inviting, and trustworthy, you're going to get jobs and you're going to get people to call you and continue to engage with you if you do very simple things that matter to other people. So I hope these areas, the generating leads, engaging with the clients, and gaining referrals helps you, and that we can move on to the next part where we are going to be talking about the things that you are good at and how to take those into the next phase of your business.